She called 911 because she was convinced the black man standing outside her apartment building couldn't possibly be fixing his own Wi-Fi. That one snap judgment set off a chain of events that no one could rewind. It all started with her watching from behind her blinds, phone already in hand, narrating her suspicion to the dispatcher. Meanwhile, outside he was calmly adjusting cables near a junction box, humming to himself. His keys and access card were visible, but they were ignored by her fear, which she had dressed up as certainty. When the police arrived, their lights washing the brick walls in red and blue, she stepped out to point, to explain, to feel validated. He raised his hand slowly, not in surrender, but in a kind of tired familiarity, already bracing for a misunderstanding he didn't create. The officers started asking questions, checking IDs, and running names. As neighbors began to gather, the story she'd told started to unravel, thread by thread. The man wasn't trespassing, he wasn't stealing service, he wasn't doing anything illegal at all. He was the building's network engineer, on call that night to fix an outage that she herself had complained about just hours earlier. And then came the quiet pivot, the moment that flips the entire room. Bodycam audio caught her embellished call. Timestamps showed a history of similar false reports. Neighbors came forward, confirming patterns of harassment. Suddenly, the officers realized the real issue wasn't the man by the cables, but the woman on the phone. The tone changed completely. The questions turned, and now explanations were requested from her. While he packed up his tools with the same patience he'd arrived with, she learned it right there on the sidewalk, that 911 isn't a weapon, that assumptions leave receipts, and that consequences don't always shout. What happened after the sirens faded was the part no one expected. The officers didn't just leave. They stayed, reviewing footage, cross-checking calls, and asking neighbors careful questions. The dispatcher logs showed she had called 911 more than once for suspicious activity that always seemed to target the same profile. The bodycam audio captured her confidence unraveling as the facts stacked up against the stories she rehearsed. The officers explained, calmly but firmly, that emergency lines are not for fear fueled by imagination, and that this call would not be brushed aside. As the paperwork was completed, she stood there silent, realizing the authority she thought she could summon on demand was now pointed directly back at her. The man she'd tried to criminalize accepted an apology with a simple nod and went back to work, restoring the last blinking router as if nothing had happened. Days later, the building manager called a meeting. It wasn't to scold, but to document. They laid out the timelines, the access logs, the maintenance requests, and the recorded call that had started it all. The engineer stood there quietly, tools by his side, as neighbors acknowledged what they had seen for months, but never named. The woman began to understand that certainty without evidence doesn't protect you, it isolates you. The officer's report triggered a formal warning and a required review for misusing emergency services. The manager clarified new protocols so work wouldn't be interrupted by suspicion masquerading as vigilance. And that's where it finally settles. Not with shouting or viral outrage, but with a quiet shift that no one could undo. The woman went back inside knowing the call she made would follow her longer than the fear that fueled it. The building moved forward with clearer rules and a sharper awareness. And the man everyone had watched that night returned to his routine with the same calm professionalism that had dismantled the accusation without a single argument. The cables he fixed carried more than just the internet by morning. They carried proof that dignity outlasts accusation. This story sticks with you because it isn't about Wi-Fi or a 911 call at all. It's about how easily fear can be dialed into authority, how quickly truth can unplug it, and how powerful it is to let facts speak when someone else is just trying to make noise. Thank you for watching. If this story resonated with you, please consider subscribing for more content like this.